Hey, shalom, 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 lakam, which is peace unto you all. Ha'i Rab Tawab La'atam Za'ak Yakam Yawam Man Rachagador Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nacham Atam Kaya Hamalakwath Hashamayim Kwara, repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call Halayim Lala Abanawi Hawa Bahasham Yahushua Bahasham Racha Kwadash Wa Mashana Laza Kwanim Nawa Wa Malakam Shor Rachagador, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists by Hashem. In the name Yahweh Shai delivers, and double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. This is Tahoyim Psalms chapter 64. We can start at verse 1. It says, "Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy." All right, let me get this quick precept real fast. This is Psalms chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" It says, "The kings of the earth set themselves together." The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, "Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision." You see, because essentially, Esau, he has the masses, but he wants to see if he can get to the elect, and that's essentially what he's trying to carry out in the earth. Which the scriptures say that, he has an enterprise which he's not going to be able to perform, because he's going to try to chip up, everyone that he can get, you see, but he's not going to touch the elect, because the Lord's going to keep the elect in the hour of temptation. All right. Continuing on, which going back to this too, it says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" You see, because these heathen feel as if they're going to keep us in slavery forever. The scriptures say that, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. So Esau feels as if he's going to be in power, for eternity. That's what he would like to think in his mind. Nevertheless, though, continuing on, let me get Psalm chapter 83, and we'll start at verse 1, because this is essentially what the heathen do, being spearheaded by Esau Edom. So, this is Tahoyim Psalms 83 and verse 1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasha may be no more in remembrance." All right, and that's essentially, what the heathen have done, starting with Esau Edom. All right, they have lived very deliciously, all right, and essentially kept, the children of Yasha down. The scriptures say that the dogs, essentially, roughly paraphrasing, the dogs benefited off of our wounds, in which the dogs are going into the other nations. All right. So it says, which to elaborate on that, the other nations, they essentially benefit off of Jake, being in this downtrodden state, because if you look at, if you go to if you go up to predominant Jake areas, all right, beside every food line, what does Jake shop at? Food line. All right, what's beside every food line? You got a Chinese store. All right, you got a Chinese store, a Moabite store. All right, and then at every gas station you see either Ishmael or Salat. You'll see probably Elam. They'll have the gas stations on lock. Either Ishmael or Elon, one of them. All right. Essentially, that they have the gas stations on lock. All right, and when you go into the major companies that Jake subscribed to, like the youth, they look at Disney. All right, all of these are owned by Imalak, all right, which is Amalek. So the heathen essentially benefit off of Jake being low. All right. Verse 5, it says, "For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee." Verse 6, on down the list, the nations. Verse 6, it says, "The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites and of Mawa'aba and the Hagarenes." So to reiterate, pretty much verse 6 on down pretty much goes into the nations, and they all had a part in the conspiracy, against the nation of Yasha Allah, all right, which represents you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, Israelite foreigners, Which when I say Israelite foreigners, we were scattered across the four corners of the globe, so we come looking sometimes as the other nations, so those would be the Israelite foreigners. All right, so continuing on, go back to Psalms chapter 64. In verse 2, it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. All right. And we got, Psalms 83. All right. Also Psalms, the second chapter, going back up to the top, it says, preserve my life from fear of the enemy. I'm gonna get this in the NLT. And it says, protect my life from the enemy's threats. Them threats, they're seeing like verses 1 and 2, them threats, and then that secret counsel of the wicked, essentially they're conspiring, all right, ultimately going into, Psalm the second chapter, Psalm the 83rd chapter, all right, and also Judith the 5th chapter, all right, which I'm gonna get that. All right, this is Judith chapter 5, and we'll get verse 17, and it says, and whilst they sin not before their power, they prosper, because the Most High that hated iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their enemies. Verse 19, but now they are turned to their power, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Yerushalayim, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against his people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power before them, and we become a reproach for all the world. You see, and essentially, they understand that the Lord defends us when, we're at one with our power. When we're on the same accord, keeping law, statutes, and commandments, the Lord defends us. You see, so if these nations can essentially conspire to keep us low, that's essentially what they do. You see, ultimately going into Psalm the 64th chapter, where it says, "Preserve my life from fear of the enemy." The threats. Because those threats is essentially, I'm reading the NLT again, or I'm reading the CSB. It says, God, hear my voice when I am in anguish. Protect my life from the terror of the enemy, you see. And essentially the terrors and the threats, essentially those come in the form of, when the scriptures say shoot in secret at the perfect, in those threats, essentially Esau voicing, what he's feeling. Scripture say that his tongue walketh through the earth, you see, and all these come by way of, his laws and legislations, you see, which essentially that goes into as well, shooting in secret at the perfect by shooting situations, all right, keeping Jake to where he got to pay, lump sums of money, all right, taxing them heavily, the credit system, all these things are pretty much faced against Jake. I got this book right here. It says The Valley of the Dry Bones. It says the conditions that face so-called black people in America, which really goes into all the tribes. But it don't say, when someone says, okay, they'll say, as a people, we face this. Not to say the conditions that face, so-called, we'll replace that word with black and just put Israelites. So it says the conditions that face Israelites in America, you see, because these things are against us, all right? Ultimately going into the terror and the fear of the enemy. All right, verse 3, it says, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, all right, through their laws and legislations, their policies. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. All right, I was reading this book one time and it said, it's called Silent Weapons for Secret Wars, you see, and it had a quote in there. I'm going to get it real fast. A lot. Oh, shit. It's a lot. All right, it says, it's a lot. We found it right here. It says, everything that descriptive introduction of the silent weapon. Everything that is expected from an ordinary weapon is expected from a silent weapon by its creators, but only in its own manner of functioning. It shoots situations instead of bullets, propelled by data processing instead of a chemical reaction explosion, originating from bits of data instead of grains of gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer programmer instead of a marksman. And the computer programmer, you see, because they program this system, the credit system, are against Jake. And it says instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnate, you see, because Jake, The scriptures say that pretty much we wasn't going to be the lender. We was going to be the borrower, you see, in these different loans and stuff. Jake can't really get good loans, you see, because we aren't the lender. It says banking magnate instead of a military general. All right, so all of these are pretty much how it shoots situations in this book. But them situations that shot is verse 4. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They don't care. They don't fear, And also, they put it in the foods, the bread and circus, all right, eugenics, all right. And it says, going back up to verse 3, it says, even bitter words. You see, I'm going to get this real fast. This is Tahoyim, Psalm chapter 73 and verse 9. And it says, they set their mouth against the heavens and their tongue walketh through the earth. You see, so they continually open their mouth in blasphemy, all right. And their tongue walks through the earth through their policies, all right. Like it says in the scriptures, Psalms 14:1, it says, the fool hath said in his heart that there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. All right. This as well. Because Esau, when it said in life, can't get right. Esau can't get right. He wasn't made to be right. Isaiah 10:1, it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees in their right grievousness which they have prescribed. You see, and that's essentially what Esau has done, right grievousness which they have prescribed. This didn't come from the Lord. It's just Esau feeling like, changing things up. And that's essentially what he does. He changes things up through his laws and legislations. All right. Essentially how their tongue walks through the earth. Going back to Psalm chapter 63 and verse 4, it says, even bitter words. All right, I'm going to get this in another version. And it says, NIV, they sharpen their tongues like swords and aim cruel words like deadly arrows. All right. Which those words are essentially them words. They come by way of the laws, the policies. All right. Those essentially, that's a slow kill for Jake, Continuing on, Psalm 64:5, it says, they encourage themselves in evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? All right, I got a quick precept. This is Isaiah Yeshaya chapter 29. And we'll get verse 15, and it says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? You see, so Esau does all these things, you see, and essentially he feels as if, he's not being watched. All right, I'm going to get this real fast. This is Second Maccabee, Maccabees chapter 7. And we'll get verse 31, and it reads, it says, and thou that hast been author of all mischief against the Hebrews shall not escape the hands of the Most High. You see? So Esau feel as if, the Lord ain't keeping a tab. Scriptures say the Lord required that which is past. So them encouraging themselves in an evil matter, they feeling as if, hey, that they gonna get their enterprise off, which they're not gonna get it fully off the ground. It says they commune of laying snares privily. They feel as if they not being watched, but little do they know that the Lord's eyes is 10,000 times brighter than the sun, roughly paraphrasing. It says they say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. You see, this devil's heart is deep. You see, which going back to this right here, this is Bara'ash, Genesis chapter 25, and we'll get verse 27, and it says, and the boys grew, and Aishawa was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dull in intents. You see, so that word cunning, you get in the NLT, it says, the boys grew up. Esau became a skillful hunter. All right. I'm going to go into that word for cunning. And it says cunning. It says yadai. It says to know, to perceive. All right. It says observation. It says instruction. Cunning. All right. Diligent. Discover. We've made new discoveries. Going back to I wanted to get that out because go back to Psalm 64 and verse 6, it says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. So this man is cunning. When you get a synonym for cunning, he's crafty. It says they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. Hey, this devil has went far. He has went great lengths. All right. He's gotten things down to a science, so to speak. All right. So I'm gonna get this. This is or Salah. I'm going to verse 7. It says, "But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded." I'm gonna get this real fast. This is Ayawab, Job chapter 20 and verse 23, and it says, "When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through." Talking about the ICBMs, you see. The Lord's going to destroy him. Hey, when he's just getting his NWO plan off the ground, which he can get the masses, you see, but the Lord's going to get it to a certain point to where the Lord's going to rain like I said in Job, he's going to rain his fury. So I'm gonna go back to it because I don't want to misquote. 23, Job 20 and 23. It says, "The Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through." Talking about the ICBMs, All right. Going back to Psalms, Hoyim chapter 64, we'll get verse 8. And it says, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away." All right, because the Lord is putting the spirit, or putting a spirit on these Edomites. You see, and they're coming out spilling the beans and telling what's going on in these different Bilderberg meetings, all right, in these secret societies, and they're telling on their counterparts. All right, verse 9: "And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing." Salah. All right. And which I'm going to read it again. It says, "And all men shall fear, and all shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing." You see, because the Lord is known by his judgment. All right, this is Tahoyim, Psalms 9 and 16. Said, "The Lord is known by the judgment which he executed. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands." You see. All right, going back to Psalm 64. And we got verse 9. It says, "And all men shall fear and declare the work of the Most High." You see, because the Lord is known by his judgment. All right. When the Lord brings that judgment, it's gonna be like, hey, the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah did this. For they shall wisely consider of his doing. All right. It's gonna be known that the Lord brought that judgment. All right. I'm gonna get this real fast. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. We'll get verse 14. And it says, "For the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea." All right. So the Lord's name is going to be proclaimed throughout the earth. And rightfully so. All right, this is Tahoyim, chapter 64 and verse 10, Psalms. It says, "The righteous shall be glad in the Lord, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory." All right, I'm going to get this real fast. This is Mashaliah, Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 16, and it says, "The wicked are multiplied." It says, "When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall." And that's why the righteous is glorying, the Lord, or that's why the righteous is glorying in the Lord, and that's why the righteous is also being glad in the Lord. You see, because the Lord is bringing that judgment. You see, and it says, "And all the upright in heart shall glory." Yeah, pretty much going into that glory and to being glad. You see, because the righteous is going to see, again, to reiterate, the downfall of our enemies. You see, so. Adawar Tazaza Banaya Pa, Lord's will. That was a beautiful edification through the spirit. Wadawar Taza Atam Yashlaya Latawabe, Lord's will. You all have a good night. Wa Shalom Lakam, which is peace unto you. Wa Shalom.